Today we're going to talk about the death of cable media. It's been slow, but it's now accelerating, and 3 things that are holding it back from going out of business today. And if one of them pulled out, cable would be done within seconds. Okay, so if you get value out of this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Let's get right into it. Yesterday, I'm doing Russell Brand's podcast, and him and I are talking. He's grown now into having millions and millions of followers, and this guy was a former A-lister. Oh, not the shirt, inside of you, if you know what I'm talking about, from Forgetting Sarah Marshall. He's an A-lister. He's now a small media company getting tens of millions of eyeballs on a monthly basis. So imagine an A-lister and a former insurance guy, finance guy, start media companies, and now they're getting more eyeballs than some traditional mainstream cable. This doesn't make any sense. How big of a disruption is it? They should have never allowed guys like us to get into it, but I'm going to give you numbers here today for you to be thinking about. All right, so let's take a look at some data. Last year in July was a historic month because that was the first month where streaming passed cable. Nobody thought it was going to happen, but it finally happened. However, look how dramatically the numbers changed from last July to today. We just got the report from Nielsen. I want to show this to you. This is last year. When you look at this data, it shows July 2022, cable, 34.4%. It's the purple line that you see there. And the blue, streaming, passed it up 34.8%. However, if we go look at the Nielsen report that just came out last month, here's what you'll notice. Now you'll see streaming went from 34.8% to 38.7%, but cable dropped from 34.4% to 29.6%. And on the streaming side, they got the top with YouTube, then Netflix, then Hulu, then Prime Video, then Disney, Max, Tubi, Peacock, Roku, Paramount, Pluto. The point is, you're no longer watching cable. So the same way cable TV is being disrupted, the therapy industry is being disrupted. Why? Because for many years, people didn't want to go see a therapist because they were embarrassed of sitting in a waiting room and they're waiting for meeting the person, and a coworker says, you're coming here too? Yes. Is everything okay? Like, yeah, is everything okay? I just need to talk to somebody, you know what I'm saying? Now, you can use a company, which is today's sponsor, BetterHelp, on your phone to talk to any therapist, and if it doesn't work out for you, they'll replace it for you at no charge and have another person working with you. You got 25,000 different people to choose from. So look, why do I have them as our sponsor? Here's why. Data proves that this is the loneliest Americans have been. Depression is high because, one, we have to be around people to talk to somebody. Sometimes you just have to talk to someone to release it. As a man, men typically don't do that a lot. If you've never done that with BetterHelp, this is a one way for you to get started to talk about your issues. And you never know, that could help you change your life in a major way. Go to betterhelp.com/valuetainment and get 10% discount on your first order. Once again, go to betterhelp.com/valuetainment to get 10% discount and join the other 2 million people that have also taken advantage of this service. You can also click on the link below to go there directly. And matter of fact, if I was to ask you right now, do you watch cable? You may say, I do. What do you watch on cable? You may say, sports only. Exactly. There's 3 things that's holding cable from being done within seconds. One is people who watch sports. Number 2 is older people that watch news on CNN, Fox, MSNBC. These are people that like to consume their news from TV. But you know what the most important one is? Do you know what percentage of all cable TV advertising money comes from Big Pharma? What do you think is that percentage? You think it's 5%? You think it's 10%? 30? It's a big number. 40? 50? There's no way, Pat, it's 50. What if I told you, according to Statista, the number is 75% of the funding? Do you realize 2 countries are the only ones that allow Big Pharma to advertise? Us and New Zealand. If a president changed the law and said Big Pharma can no longer advertise on any kind of cable TV or streaming, cable TV would go out of business like this. At least 90% of them would disappear, because where would they get their money from? And all these guys that are paying $5, $10, $15 million, their salary is gone. They got to go figure out a way how to make the money on podcasting. Insane number when you think about 75%. But let me continue with more data for you. So what you're looking at here is the number of people paying for cable and how it's declining. And if you look at 2013, it's 100 million and a half. It stays steady. And then all of a sudden it goes to 90 million 2018. Then 2020, they have 78 million. But something happened called COVID, if you remember, because I know it was 3 years ago. It drops from 78 million to 65 million 2 years later. And now it's 60.5 million. And they're simply given a projection of what's going to be happening. They're being very nice to cable. cable, how it's going to go from 60 to 56 to 53 to 50 to 47. But you get the idea. Now, meanwhile, look at OTT. OTT is over the top, like Netflix, Hulu, membership type of things. Look what it's done from 2017 till today. If you look at 2017, you'll see 72.59 billion. So it went from 72.59 billion to 2022, $260 billion. It's projected to be at around $400 billion by 2027. Again, this is not good news for cable, but let's continue. So here's another question for you. How many streaming services memberships do you have? Is it just one? Some tells me you got more than one. 86% of us, you and I, have more than one streaming service subscription. Check this out here. Only 14% of Americans subscribe to only one. 38% subscribe to two, 27 to three, 12% to four, 9% of you watching this have five or more you're paying for on a monthly basis. Good for you, by the way. So now, when we're looking at cable, you may be saying, Pat, it's dead based on what the stuff you're showing me here. I know, but let's take a look at a couple other industries on how gradually it happened and why this one is accelerating. Let's take a look at newspapers first. The end of newspapers began in 1990s with the rise of the internet. 5 signs of why newspapers decline. Number 1, internet. Number 2, the decline of advertising revenue. Number 3, the changing demographics of readership. Number 4, the rise of social media. Number 5, the increasing cost of news production. So, matter of fact, let's just bring it back to you. How many people you know that actually read a newspaper? I know one person in this building reads a newspaper, and it's me, because I read the Wall Street Journal. I actually love it. I like to come to my office, open it up, read what's going on, because I like doing that, right? That's a habit I've had in financial services. But how many people you know yourself? If you do, take a picture. There ain't too many of them. You know how people consume their news nowadays? Twitter, which is social media. You got internet site, podcasts. You got streaming services. And last but not least, it's cable, which we know what direction cable is going. Next one is landlines. When's the last time you made a phone call with a landline? I'm actually serious. We were actually talking here. I can't tell you. I can't remember the last time I made a phone call with a landline. Literally, I couldn't tell you. It's got to be 2009, the last time I made a phone. When's the last time you made it? What happened to landlines? Check this out with this data. So this is 2008 till today. Ready? 2008, the green is landline. The blue is cell phones. Look at green. 80% of us had a landline. Today it's 28%. In 2008, less than 20% had a cell phone. Today it's 71%. Matter of fact, don't you wonder what the other 29% is doing without a cell phone? They have to be either 6 years old, they have to be either 93 years old, but what do they do not having a cell phone? Well, look what happened to landlines. At one point, everybody had it like this. Massive disruption. Disappeared. So what caused it? Let's take a look. Once cell phones became affordable, convenient, and reliable, it was game over. Cost of landlines versus unlimited calling plans, then features of mobile phones, text messaging, internet access, apps, game over. I remember I had a Nextel and it wasn't unlimited. All of a sudden, my phone bill would be $600 a month. I'm a salesperson, so I was like coming up in business. Then Nextel came out with unlimited plan, $199 a month. It was insane. Then somebody else said $149. Then Nextel came back, $99. And then nobody cares about unlimited anymore. You can make as many calls as you want. But it's been a massive disruption. So here's another one. Music. How do you consume your music? What do you listen to? Do you listen to YouTube, iTunes, Spotify? Do you remember this thing back in the days that cavemen used to listen to? What's called the disc, CD. Do you remember that? Check this out with the numbers here, what it's looking like and how they peaked in the massive drop-off. According to Statista, in 1983 is when you'll see compact discs being sold. And by the way, the data here is by the millions, okay? So it goes and it peaks in the 2000s. Nearly 1 billion discs sold every single year, but very quickly it went all the way back down to today. When's the last time you bought a CD? And you work out with a disc. Can you imagine you go to the gym and you see somebody with it? You know, the old disc players, we would run and would skip. Do you remember that? Where you would kind of try to run without. If you're 40, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That doesn't belong anywhere today because we listen to our music and work out like this. Of course, unless if your name is Vincent Oceano, you still listen to discs. So if you look at this year, podcast popularity, percentage of people in the U.S. 12 plus ever listen to a podcast. Back in 2006, it was around 11%. Today, it's 55%. And the number, if you look at, according to Statista, that number, the 11% number that is now 55, 57%, it's 162 million people listening to podcasts right now. You know what that's doing? This is how the whole conversation started with Russell Brand and myself. A-lister, business guy, finance guy, podcast, getting more eyeballs than many of these guys on TV. What happened there? It's what you call a massive disruption taking place. to cable. So look, we talk about how newspapers got replaced by the internet. We talk about landlines by cell phones, CD players by iPhone, cable by streaming, and you see what podcasters are doing today. This is not going away, and it's led to the creator economy, which means you get to choose who you want to listen to today. Back in the days, the only people that were able to get on the big screen TV, they either had to do a lot of favors, they had to be related to somebody, they had to be connected with somebody. You couldn't, and it didn't mean they were the best people. It's just those were the people that got the job because they knew somebody. It meant maybe the best person was out there, but didn't have a way of getting to know the guys, so they never excelled to the top, if that makes any sense. Today, the market is wide open. Whoever's the best rises to the top. Competition galore. Who wins? The audience wins because you get to pick and choose who you want to watch. Buy which videos you like. And if you don't like it, you don't pay for it. You go to a different channel. That's real competition. Finally, we have some of that competition in media. And FYI with cable. We're going to talk about the creator economy on another video and what kind of money is being made and what's the possibilities out there and what direction it's going. But here's what we have to know here with cable. Old folks, it's a timeline. Okay? I'm 44. I ain't going to live forever. You ain't going to live forever. Old folks watching news, they're not going to be living forever. So what is that timeline right there? 10 years? 20 years? 30 years? Okay. But let's set that aside. Sports. Who's starting to pick up sports deals? A lot of these streamers. Do you know how scary that is? If these guys start signing up with them, and if some basketball teams are now doing their own streaming, their own OTT, wait a minute, what if every MLB team, every NHL team, that's a scary thought. Of course it is. That's the direction it's going. But one noble law by a candidate, a president, who comes out and says, moving forward in America, Big Pharma can no longer advertise on TV or streaming services. 75% of cable TV money goes away. What do you think they're going to do? They're already struggling. How do they make their money? They would have to revamp their entire business model. And that's a massive revamping to be done. So if I were you and you were thinking about investing into a cable TV stock, I'm not giving you any advice. Even though I'm a financial advisor, Series 7, I'm telling you, this is not advice. I'm just telling you. You may want to think twice about it because the game is changing in a very, very major way. Having said that, if you got value out of this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. I got another video I want you to watch on the subscription industry and what it's done, the size of it. If you've never seen it, click here to watch it. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye, bye-bye.